Marie-Therese here again from Fingal Libraries, and welcome back to Spring Into Storytime. I read you a story before about hibernation, and we talked about mammals like bats and hedgehogs and amphibians like frogs. But another type of animal in Ireland that lies low during the wintertime are insects like moths. And one kind of moth that we find here in Ireland is the peppered moth. Now, the peppered moth spends the winter in a cocoon, and that opens in the springtime during April and May. The adult moths then come out of the cocoon and lay their eggs. The story I'm going to tell you today explains that peppered moths are also a famous example of what we call natural selection, and that's the process that allows evolution to happen. Natural selection happens when plants or animals that are better suited to the world around them survive and pass their features on to the generations that come after them. This story shows us how the peppered moth has survived despite damage caused to the environment by humans. The story is called Moth, an Evolution Story, and it's by Isabel Thomas and Daniel Ignaeus. This is a story of light and dark, of change and adaptation, of survival and hope. It starts with a little moth. Look, what's that moving in the moonlight? A shiny cocoon wiggles and jiggles. Something is waking up from a long winter's sleep. Six little legs uncurl, two tiny antennae unfurl, and four salt and pepper wings scratch and quiver in the breeze. Watch out! Hungry predators are near. Quick, fly away. The peppered moth joins its sisters, brothers, and cousins. Most have speckled, freckled wings. But sometimes a peppered moth is born with wings as dark as charcoal. The moths flitter and flutter, skitter and swoop, and loop the loop all night long. They look for food and try not to get eaten themselves. Watch out for bats. As the sun rises, nighttime creatures must find a safe place to rest. Peppered moths doze on lichen-covered branches. Be silent, be still. Someone else is looking for food now. Who is disguised? Who will survive? Oh no! Charcoal black wings are easy to spot on the pale branches. These dark-coloured moths will be a feast for hungry chicks. The speckled, freckled moths are masters of disguise. Their salt and pepper wings keep them safe from hungry eyes. The very next night they lay eggs of their own. The new moths will have salt and pepper wings too, just like their parents. Every year the same thing happens. Hundreds of tiny eggs hatch. The moths with the best camouflage survive long enough to have children and pass on their salt and pepper wings. This is why most peppered moths were speckled and freckled. Until the world began to change. People built factories and burned coal to power magnificent machines. They made steam trains to take things here, there, and everywhere. Chimneys filled the air with smoke and soot. Pollution stained the clouds and blackened the branches where peppered moths rest. A bird is hunting for a snack. Now that their world is darker, which moths are disguised? Which moths will survive? What do you think? The salt and pepper moths show up against the branches now, don't they? The darkest moths are masters of disguise. Their charcoal-coloured wings keep them safe from hungry eyes. They now live long enough to lay eggs of their own and pass on their wing colour. Now the bird has caught a salt and pepper coloured moth. They pass on their wing colour to their children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. After 50 years, there are just as many peppered moths as there have ever been, but most are charcoal coloured now, and speckled, freckled moths are rare. They have adapted to the changes in their world. Next time you scramble through a forest, ramble near a hedgerow, or run around a garden, be silent, be still, look closely at the trees. You might spot a moth with wings as dark as charcoal. Or a moth with speckled, freckled wings. Because their story didn't end when the world was a darker place. People decided to clean up the air. They burned less coal and found new ways to power machines. Year by year by year, cities grew greener, the air all around became cleaner, and the trees shed their sooty bark. The speckled, freckled moths are camouflaged once more and live long enough to pass on their salt and pepper wings to their children. Today, both types of moths find places to hide and survive. They are still telling their story of light and dark, of change and adaptation, of survival. And hope. And that's the end of our story about the peppered moth. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.